So let's go over some more list methods just for fun. There is append. Okay, so you can take any element and add it to the end of a list. Clear will erase all of the items in a list, but will not erase the list. So it'll just take everything out of it and leave the list variable the way it is. To be honest with you, I haven't really used that one much. Haven't had a cause for it. Copy will return a copy of the list. And this is useful if you want to manipulate a list without changing the original. Like if you want to have a list of names and you need those indexes to stay the same, but you want to maybe for some reason alphabetize the list without changing the original list indexes, you make a copy of it and alphabetize the second one. It just makes an identical copy of it, and whatever you do to the copy doesn't affect the original. Count is also very useful. Now, count doesn't tell you how many items are in the list. Okay, count actually counts how many times a specific thing shows up in a list. So for example, in this one, and that's where these are really useful because you can see what the example looks like. If I have a list of fruits, apple, banana, cherry, and I do fruits.count cherry, it will come back as 1. But if I have 3 cherries in that list, it'll come back as 3. It'll just tell me how many times does that value appear in that list. And it works with any value. This is another useful one. So if list index will tell me where something appears in that list. So if I wanted to say, after all of this, so I get rid of Dave by Dave, and then I add Dan to the end, and I insert Jane at the beginning. But now I'm confused. I don't know what the index is for Joe because I've changed it all around. So if I want to know what the index is for Joe, I could do this by using index. And that basically it'll say, I want you to tell me where the index is for Joe. And I can put it into that index. And let's print int index. Okay, so now after all that shuffling, Joe is in index 2, and you can see 0, 1, 2. That's correct. But now if I wanted to get rid of Joe, I could say li names pop int index. So now I'm just finding Joe and getting rid of him too. So that's a good way to use that. So it's a way you can maybe envision a way of using this, like if you were creating HR software for people and you wanted a lookup function, like look up Bill Mosley and tell me, bring up his record or whatever, then you can actually use that index to locate Bill Mosley in that list. And that's how you would use that. So index is useful. Insert, we talked about. Insert requires two parameters, the position and the element. So where you want to put it, the index, where you want to put that, and the thing that you want to put there. Now remember, all of these methods are in the function reference linked to from Canvas. So if you're like, I remember there was a thing, a function or a list method where I could do this or that, you just go and look it up and you can see how it's used and you can see how it fits into your code. Okay, pop, we're experts at pop now. Remove works kind of like pop, but it does not return, it just deletes. Okay, the thing that it does instead of pop, where pop takes an index, remove takes a value. Okay? So any element that you want to remove. And by the way, this will only remove the first occurrence. If I have a list of fruit and I have banana that is there 3 times and I run this code, it'll only get rid of the first banana. There'll still be 2 more left. So you have to do the remove command or the remove method multiple times if you have multiple values. Reverse, right? This is an easy one to use here. Let's just comment all of that out. I'll take this up here so we're not confused about what's going on here. That code will just disappear out of our view. But if I want to say li names dot reverse, okay, notice, you remember what I said about string functions? String functions always return something. List functions are a little trickier because notice, I actually reversed li names there. I didn't have to return it and captured a new list. It actually reversed to that list. So a lot of these list functions or list methods will actually act on the list itself rather than returning a copy of it where that's done to it. Tracking? You will. Once you start playing with these, it'll make a lot more sense. But the reverse just takes the indexes and reverses the order. Okay, sort is a little bit more complex, and it allows you to sort things very easily. Now, if you've got a list of numbers, it'll sort them either from largest to smallest or from smallest to largest, depending on whether you say reverse is true or false. Okay. If you have them alphabetized, if you have strings, it will do them in alphabetical order. If you have strings of numbers, it will sort those in alphabetical order by number, which is a little bit different than numeric order. Because in alphabetical order by number, 9 actually comes after 1,000 because 1 is the first digit versus 9. So it'll sort them in a weird order if they're strings. Just something to be aware of. You can also sort by function. We're going to completely ignore that part right now, but this is a really cool feature that we're going to play around with later that allows you to do things by sorting, like sorting by the length of a string or sorting by almost any other factor. So sorting, I'll just show you, just like that. Okay, so Bill, Dave, and Joe are already in alphabetical order. Let's scramble that up. Joe, Xavier, Dave. That makes it more interesting. Okay, so there we go. So all I do is say sort, and it puts them in alphabetical order. If I wanted that reversed, if I wanted reverse alphabetical order, I would just do this, reverse equals true. And then it puts them in reverse alphabetical order. So lots of things. Remember, again, I'm not capturing the result of this because it's actually changing li names. So list methods tend to act directly on the list itself.